a man forged by magma itself, driven by absolute justice and a far greater will than anybody else. Alright, so today we will be diving into how strong is Fleet Admiral Akainu, aka the strongest marine in the verse. So let's start off by the main thing that makes him strong, which is his devil fruit. So Fleet Admiral Akainu ate the Magu no Mi devil fruit, which gives him the ability to create, control, and transform into magma itself. Well, it is a Logia type, meaning he's immune to attacks without Haki. It's also been stated by Oda himself that his devil fruit is the strongest when it comes to attacking power. The reason why I consider this to be a big deal is because it includes Whitebeard's Quake fruit and even Kuzan's devil fruit. Mind you, Kuzan himself turned the ocean into a continent pre-time skip, and Whitebeard was stated to be the strongest man in the world and could even destroy the world. This just goes on to show that the Magu no Mi is considered to be superior than both of these devil fruits as well. Now let's move on to Akainu's first feat. So his first major feat was fighting Whitebeard back in Marineford. I've explained this many times, but this is something a lot of people get wrong. First things first, to make it clear, Akainu took half of Whitebeard's face, which is not shown in the anime. And then he went on to stop one of Whitebeard's attack head on with his foot without even trying. And on top of that, punch a hole through Whitebeard. Well, even the portrayal from the anime side, all Whitebeard did was knock down Akainu from the back. That's a lot less damage compared to getting half your face torn off. Not to mention that Akainu just tanked the hit and went on to fight the rest of Whitebeard's crew. Akainu also never really acknowledged Whitebeard as he had many chances to finish him off. The reason is because his main goal was to go after Ace and Luffy like he did. He did turn the man himself Fire Fist Ace into a donut. As for Whitebeard being old, I totally agree that he was old, but he was still regarded as the strongest man in the world. For me, I'm still going to be scaling an old Whitebeard at least around Big Mom, if not stronger. So far, nobody in the verse has been able to tilt an entire ocean, and we do know that even old characters can retain their strength. And then Akainu also pulled up to take down Blackbeard's entire crew on by himself. Well, this is very impressive as it indicates that he was strong enough to challenge them all alone. And Blackbeard, despite knowing that Akainu had a devil fruit that he could use, he ran away. Mind you, Blackbeard around that time went on to take down Marco and the rest of Whitebeard's crew. Moving on to Akainu's biggest feat so far, it was defeating Admiral Aokiji, also known as Kuzan. As for how strong is Kuzan, Kuzan was relative to an old Garp who was equal to Prime Roger. And we do know that old Garp was in a relatively good shape compared to Whitebeard, and Kuzan was still able to keep up physically. Not to mention that Garp was a monster in terms of AP, and he was almost able to destroy the entirety of Hachinosu with Galaxy Impact alone. Kuzan was also able to tank blue holes and many named attacks. And you could even argue that Kuzan was holding back as he did not try to terraform the island, and Garp called him soft many times. Well, even if you think that Garp was stronger, it wouldn't change a lot as they were both relative at least. Well, for me, I'm still going to give this to Kuzan as he's younger and in his prime. And guess what, if Garp fought Akainu, he'd probably lose as Akainu has better AP, mindset, and is also ruthless unlike Kuzan. So Akainu so far has been confirmed to have mastery over 2 types of Haki, including Ornament and Observation, but there is a very high possibility that he has Conqueror's Haki as he has a far greater will than any other marine. And it's been made clear many times that people with strong will often have Conqueror's Haki, especially the ones who are trying to get on top of their position like Zoro and Luffy. And being a Fleet Admiral is almost like being a Pirate King. Alright, so leaving all that aside, the main reason why I consider Akainu to be the strongest is his portrayal. For example, whoever Akainu's fought has been destroyed. Akainu already had 3 victims under his name, including Whitebeard, Kuzan, and Ace. He also has a 5-star bounty placed to him by Cross Guild, which is about 5 billion berries. I get that bounties can be insignificant, but the reason why I consider this to be important is because there's only 3 people with a bounty over 5 billion berries. So far, only Roger, Whitebeard, and Akainu have a bounty of over 5 billion berries. Also, back in 2010 or something, Oda himself stated that if Akainu were to be a pirate, he would have got the One Piece in under a year. Well, this is crazy because even Kaido, Big Mom, and Blackbeard wanted the One Piece forever and still can't get it. Even Luffy himself, who's the protagonist, couldn't get the One Piece in under a year. Mind you, Big Mom herself was pushing 70 and Kaido was around 57-58. And the most important thing about Akainu's portrayal is his mindset. Lord Sakazuki's mindset is bound by absolute justice and he does not care about his opponents at all. For example, let's take a look at Kaido. So Kaido was able to knock down Luffy multiple times and he could have finished Luffy whenever he wanted. Well, but instead Kaido did not care about finishing Luffy, all he wanted was to yap more, and on top of that he just wanted a formidable opponent. But if Luffy ends up getting knocked down by Akainu, Akainu's just gonna go finish him off quickly. Not to mention that Akainu is also a master at rage baiting. For example, if he's up against Luffy, he's going to talk trash about Shanks, Sabo, or Ace, and then there's a very high possibility that Luffy's going to crash out and lose his temper, causing Akainu to win. It's also been stated that the Admirals are the strongest force in the Navy, so yeah, current Akainu is easily over Blackbeard, Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom, and Luffy, and as of right now, he's definitely slightly below Roger, Whitebeard, and Prime Garp. Well, despite Akainu being slightly weaker than Prime Roger, Garp, and Whitebeard, I do think he's going to put up an extremely good fight against each of them. At last, he has never wielded a sword unlike Kizaru, Shanks, or Kaido, so he's definitely still not a Mihawk victim. As for scaling, we do know that he's definitely a lot stronger than Kizaru. So in terms of speed, so far he should be around FTL or maybe FTL plus. And as for scaling, I really tried, but I can't get him past multi-continental. Maybe if you highball the Whitebeard can destroy the world feat as an entire planet, it might be possible to get him to large planetary, but I don't think there's enough evidence. So yeah, at least as of right now, Akainu is the second strongest aside from Imu.